It's been a tough time for so many people behind bars right now, and for their family members we continue to struggle with the COVID-19 pandemic. But there is a group of people behind bars. They've been working on trying to get their college degree while serving their time. So what's it been like for them? We want to go ahead and bring in Todd Cioffi. He is the director for the Calvin Prison Initiative. Todd, it's great to have you with us on the show. I will say, reading about your initiative and this project, thank you for doing it.
You're welcome. Again, it's been nothing but a privilege for us to begin this program and now to continue the program. We get way back more than we give.
And so with that, Todd, if we could just bring the listeners and the viewers that maybe aren't familiar with this initiative, give us a background.
Sure. So just over a decade ago, Calvin Theological Seminary became inspired to offer non-credit bearing, non-accredited courses at the Richard Handlin Prison in Ionia, Michigan. And they would offer simply one course a semester, one in the fall, one in the spring, one in the summer. Started off with maybe 20 or 25 students, and they just wanted to see what's possible, what could happen. Well, it turned out that the students in these courses were phenomenal. They just soaked everything up that a professor had to offer, and they were great students. And the professors would often leave saying, gee, that was one of the better educational experiences I've had as an instructor. So that went on for a number of years, and the students who were in this non-accredited program finally said, we would love to earn something for all this work. We're writing the papers, taking the exams, we're getting grades. We sure would love a diploma. And that seemed reasonable. But now this is Calvin Seminary, so it's a graduate school. Mm-hmm. So they said, well, we can't offer an undergraduate degree, which is what most of you need. And so that's when they reached out to then Calvin College. Now we're Calvin University, and they partnered with us in 2015, June of 2015. And we together now constructed a BA in Faith and Community Leadership. It's a 5-year program. We admit 20 students a year for 5 years, so at any given time we have 100 students, 100 student body. And they take all the same courses that a student would on the main campus here at Calvin University. So they're taking philosophy and history and English literature, and then they major in faith and community leadership. So we do get students who are Christian, who want to see themselves as faith leaders within a prison setting, but we also get a lot of students from other religious traditions, Muslim, we have Buddhist, Native American, or we get students who don't associate with a religious tradition, and they want to be community leaders, moral community leaders. And so we thought, we'll try this. It's accredited. And so now Calvin University technically has 2 campuses, one here in Grand Rapids and then one in Ionia behind bars. And these students, after 5 years, get a BA from Calvin University. And so now we've been doing this for just over 6 years, and we have 2 graduating classes who receive their BAs. And so it's just been fantastic. And like the Calvin Seminary professors, our university professors say the same thing. These are amazing students. They do all the work. So as a professor myself, I know very well when I assign reading or whatever on the main campus, I know students are looking to cut corners. They're looking to get by with as little work as possible at times, not within the prison setting. You will often find students who read the assignment not once, not twice, but 3 times. They want to master it. Consequently, our students in Ionia, they outpace our main campus students with GPA by far.
Wow.
Average GPA in the prison is 3.6. We have many students who graduate with honors, and then we have many students who achieve a 4.0. And this is legitimate. This is the same education that you would receive in Grand Rapids. Same professors, same curriculum, same accreditation. And so we've been just so impressed and blessed really by our students. And so that's why I said at the beginning, we receive way more than we give.
But you're also giving to the community as well, because we have to remember so many times, people that end up in the criminal justice system for whichever reason, they get out and they, rejoin our society. So we need to give them opportunities to be productive members of our society.
Yes, without a doubt. So if we think nationally, 95% of those incarcerated right now will eventually get out. Have to ask the question, no matter what we think about crime and punishment, we simply have to ask the question, what kind of people do we want to see get out? What kind of people do we want to see re-enter our communities, possibly be our neighbors? And if we take someone who went into prison at a young age and say did 20, 25, 30 years, and there really wasn't a lot in terms of opportunity for rehabilitation or development, well, I think it's obvious what kind of person more than likely will be coming out. A person who is not prepared to re-enter society, a person who does not have the wherewithal or the resources to become a productive member of society, and like anybody, you would resort to what you need to get by. And the last time they were in society, that was crime. And so the recidivism rate across the country on the whole is upwards of 70%, the rate at which somebody returns to prison after having been out for 3 years.
Wow.
We can do better. And so we know now, through research in the last several decades, that higher education programming is the best way to address issues of rehabilitation, recidivism, and productivity once reentry occurs.
And not, even because I know for you and your team it's a BA, but even if it's a trade, we have to give them the opportunities and the skills to be able to rejoin our society. We're all going to be better because of it. And Todd, can I ask you to talk about some of the students? Because do you have more applications than you can accept?
Without a doubt. And now the word is out. And so we have folks applying. There's roughly 30 prisons that are active in Michigan currently. We have access in terms of security issues and whatnot. We have access to just over 15 of those prisons that we can receive students from. And now I'd say the word is out to where people are applying from all those prisons. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we are the only full-fledged BA program in the state of Michigan. So if you are incarcerated and want to earn a BA, you'd have to go through Calvin University at this point. So we do get a lot of applicants who want the full degree. There are other schools, community colleges mostly, who are offering associate's degree, and that's great, that's good. But unfortunately, we're the only BA program. So we do get a lot of applications, and we get them from all sorts of inmates. So we get applications from guys who maybe earned 60 credit hours at one point in their life, maybe even earned a degree. They just want another one now. Perhaps now they've even become a person of faith and want that faith degree. And then we get students who earn their GED in prison. In fact, a lot of our students, not uncommon, they learn to read in prison. And so one of our students who's currently in his fourth year, 5-year program, so he has one more to go, he came to prison without being able to read.
Wow.
So he said that in the county jail, as he was awaiting trial, he was in one cell, one person on the left, one person on the right, and they began talking about a novel they had read. As he was listening to this, it sounded almost as if they were describing a movie. It was so vivid. And he wanted that. He wanted to know this. So he said, hey, can I borrow that novel? He didn't tell them he couldn't read. He took that novel and he spent 1 month sounding out every word. And he went back through the novel and he used that novel to begin to develop basic reading skills.
Wow.
After that, he began to read anything he could get his hands on. He jokes, I even began to read the rules. I just wanted to read. Then he got involved in Shakespeare Behind Bars several years ago, and he read Shakespeare's plays and performed them. Then he heard about our program, got in, and now he has a 3.6 GPA, and he is eager for any and every course we can give him. And so as he would say now, Reading and education completely changed his life. And it opened up his world in ways that he didn't know, whether it's the world of a novel, the world of Shakespearean plays, or the world, his favorite subject right now is geology. And so he is shocked almost, in the best sense, that now this is all available, stuff he had no idea existed before. So these are the kind of students we get. Unfortunately, his story is not uncommon. I would say easily about 70% of our students, prior to incarceration, they had no idea they would ever be in college. That wasn't on the radar, it wasn't talked about, it wasn't encouraged. In fact, many of them dropped out of high school or were kicked out. And so all their educational experience took place in prison. And so I'm absolutely convinced the more education we can offer people, the better results we will get in terms of the person and our society.
So with that too, Todd, how do you pick and choose who gets to attend your program and who doesn't?
Right. We use the exact same application we would on the main campus. We tweak it to fit the prison setting. But we decided from day one that we did not want to offer a Calvin Light degree. We wanted to offer them the same degree that you get on the main campus here in Grand Rapids. And so that's where we started. And so we have very high standards. We only will admit students we think will be successful in the program. At the same time, for those students who don't get in, we are looking to develop other programs to get them college ready. We used to run a program actually at our facility that was nothing but college readiness before COVID, and we hope to continue that. And then once they fill out that application, we assess it in the same way we would any application. So they need letters of reference. They need past experience of leadership. It's a leadership program. They need to show some academic potential. And perhaps more than anything else, we need to get a sense that they are 100% committed to this project. I often will tell our students, I can work with you academically. If you need help with reading or writing a paper, that's what we do, we're educators. But I cannot educate for desire. You have to have the desire. If you give me desire, I will get you through. But you have to generate the desire. But that would be true on the main campus, right?
Yeah.
In the main campus, they don't desire this education, and they just don't do well.
We're talking with Todd Cioffi. He is the director for the Calvin Prison Initiative. And with that, Todd, if I can ask you, what's it been like with COVID? Because our prisons have been in lockdown. Exactly.
So like everybody, when COVID started, we just assumed, oh, it'll be a week or two. And that turned into a month. And we said, well, surely this can't go on past 2 or 3 months. And so we began to just piecemeal whatever we could to keep the program running. It wasn't working well. But I think after about 3 or so months, we realized this is here to stay. And so we had to come up with a better plan. Now, as it turned out, we had a digital system in place prior to COVID where we could take what amounts to a big travel drive full of information, papers, readings, whatever the case, download it onto a system in the prison. Each of our students has a laptop. They can upload this material. They could write papers, do whatever they needed, and then download it, and we would take that out of the prison. Well, it turned out that system is what saved our program. So while many programs in Michigan that were offering some education in prisons had to completely stop through COVID, we've been able to continue this whole time. So we haven't missed a semester. Now, I'm not going to say it was easy. It's been very challenging. As we all learned, at some points we thought the virus could live on hard surfaces, so we couldn't put books into the facility or any kind of hard material. So we had to continually adapt and adjust according to what we were all learning about COVID, and the prisons had to adjust about what it was to run a prison within a pandemic. So we have nearly 1,300 prisoners at our facility, and at one point they had just under 1,000 positive cases. And so the Department of Corrections was learning too about, what do you do? How do you handle that? we would think isolate, but you're already in a very compressed, compact setting. 2 men to a cell. Well, how do you isolate it now? So it took several months for everybody to figure it out. I think once we did, things got smoother, and now most of the facilities are no longer locked down. And so we were just told recently that we might be available to go back to face-to-face instruction within about a week or two.
That's great news. I think about the challenges, even traditional college students that have been learning remote, but they also have access to the internet 24/7. Prisoners don't.
Yes. So we've been having discussions with the Department of Corrections folks in Lansing for years about what would it mean to have internet. There's a concern, of course, that if you put internet into a prison, what might happen? Well, we started slowly. I'd say about 6 months ago or so, we asked if we could have a Polycom system set up, which is a kind of live feed conferencing system. And it works on just one telephone line, basically. And you can communicate live stream. Well, we did that, and it works beautifully. So about several months ago, we were able to see our students for the first time in almost a year through a live feed. And that's allowed us to now kind of enhance our instruction again. And we are currently installing internet at our facility. And we had several of our Calvin IT people come up with what we think is a great design, very secure. It got accepted by all the right folks in Lansing. And so we're going to pilot the internet now for our program, which is going to allow more resources to be available, again, live streaming. And we could even do live events here on campus that now we could get into the facility via internet.
See, there's always a silver lining if we kind of look at it, because that conversation with some of the people in Lansing may have been 10, 15 years down the road. You were able to make it happen. Todd, it's been
nothing like a good crisis. Move some things forward.
It is so true. And with that, Todd, too, I love the program and the work that you're doing, and I hope that this is picked up nationally at other prisons as well.
It has indeed. So we kind of were inspired by a prison in Louisiana, Angola. Biggest penitentiary in the country. At one time, it was the bloodiest prison in the U.S. And the warden, starting in the mid-90s, it took him about 15 years, but he turned that prison around to where they saw violence drop over 80%.
Wow.
Over 6,000 prisoners there. And they were able to create a very secure environment, but an environment with a lot of trust and responsibility. And he did it all through educational programming. So that's what inspired us. And we've looked around the country at times, and there are some programs out there that do very creative and risky work, saying for decades, our approach to the incarcerated is just more lockdown, more security. And there are some states, some facilities who are saying that's not getting the results we wanted. What if we tried a different approach? Give them opportunities for responsibility, respect, dignity, the whole bit. And so nationally, there are now programs out there that are starting to rise to the top and begin to act as models for states, for other schools, for other prisons, to say, you know what, we can do incarceration differently. And if we do, we'll get different results. And so now Michigan, our program here in Michigan has been highlighted on a national level. And we're just thrilled to be part of that conversation, to really see what we can offer as a model and inspiration for the whole country. And we're really at a crossroads, I think, where people are ready for true prison reform. And, you know, interestingly, in this particular time we're in, it's getting bipartisan support. And it's getting it actually here in Michigan.
Imagine that after the year we've had.
So
Right?
I think our prisons are going to help us reform in lots of ways.
Well, Todd, we so appreciate your time as well as the conversation. We're running a little bit behind, but we'd love to have you back on the show to talk a little bit more. Maybe you can bring a member of the program or even a graduate. We'd love to hear from them as well on their experience. But again, our gratitude to you and your time, but your entire staff. And thank you for believing in a population that so many others have given up on.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'd love to come back with some of our students.
Oh, that'd be great. Again, Calvin Prison Initiative. If you Google it, you'll find so much information. And again, Todd, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.